Hello, squatters. Welcome back to Squatter Game Podcast. Yesterday it was D-Day. It was a big day, and we saw Donald Trump meeting South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. So it was the U.S. President and South African President, and the delegates. By the way, we saw Ronald Lamola and other ministers, Magwenya, minister in the presidency, and all of that. And I could have actually shot this episode much earlier, but I had mixed emotions. I had mixed feelings. I didn't know how to feel about the whole thing, because what we saw there is two men who happens to be holding senior positions and charging at one another. Donald Trump not giving Cyril Ramaphosa time to speak, to explain, to elaborate, and at the same time President Cyril Ramaphosa making excuses. Let me tell you, South Africans, crime in South Africa is very horrible. It's bad to an extent that even in countries where there are issues of maybe war, where there's a war, more people in South Africa die more than countries which are going through a war. So can you imagine that? And for our president to continue to deny the fact that there's an attack on Afrikaners, it is actually a problem to me, because there's no crime that can just happen coincidental. We know that you go to Joburg, you get robbed. Yes, that's just a coincidence. But when people go to your house or come to your house and break into your house and terrorize you, and that's a very serious crime that actually the African National Congress government should be actually taking this very seriously. And I can see that Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to downplay this whole issue of crime that's happening against white Afrikaners at the farms. That is true. That is a reality. We've shot episodes showing the evidence that these Afrikaners who were actually terrorized. And fairly so, there's black people who becomes victims of crimes in townships. Here's my concern, by the way. And people said Donald Trump is a racist. Why he's not protecting black people, he's protecting white people. Let's say, for argument's sake, Donald Trump is a racist and he's protecting white people. Who's protecting black people? And what actually should be done here is the protection of all the citizens. If you are a president, you need to protect everyone. And for the fact that he continues to deny, and he made a mockery when he said Afrikaners who left South Africa as a refugee in the US are cowards. And so why do you call people who are vulnerable cowards of crime, when we have seen documentaries of Afrikaners who are victims of the farm attacks? We understand that there was apartheid in South Africa and a lot has happened. But my question here, and I keep asking the same question to all the political parties, is that are we actually building here or are we destroying? If we are building, if we want a constructive South Africa that will be able to shine bright, be able to compete with other international communities, we need to regain our conscience. Donald Trump made Cyril Ramaphosa to watch Julius Malema's chanting, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, and all of those are the things that are actually causing divisions in our country. They are causing divisions, and we really need to stop, and we really need to refrain from joining such cartels, such chants that are perpetuating us or pushing us into becoming racist. And by listening to Julius Malema, I've now started to believe that there's black people who are racist. Not only white people can be racist. There are black people who hate white people. You go to a complex where there's some kind of an argument, and black people always pull the race card, say you are racist. When you engage in an argument with a white person and you realize that now you are losing the argument, then you pull the race card. That's all we know. So South Africa needs to be revamped, and the ANC has been so much comfortable and they never really intended to fix anything. So I'm so happy. And people are saying Cyril Ramaphosa was ambushed. No, he was not ambushed. He had to come, because had he known before, maybe, that people like Johan Rupert and Robesov are, the one who are actually pushing this appointment, or kind of engagement for our president to go to Washington, D.C., to Oval Office, so that these issues can be discussed. I'm happy because these issues were put on an international spotlight where everybody can see what is happening in South Africa. We cannot continue to ignore. In fact, the question that I had by watching that is that if we are denying that Afrikaners are being attacked, maybe we have not reached the point of genocide, but they are being attacked. And there's a crime syndicate, a very well-organized crime, targeting Afrikaners at the farms. And the government has done absolutely nothing about it. I don't think there's any kind of prosecution. I don't think there's people who are getting arrested. I don't think there's drastic measures which were taken to protect farms, because farms are feeding us. Farms is just food security. They're producing food. So if we are killing the Afrikaners, and I'm not saying white people's lives is more important than black people. In our communities, it's a shame. And I believe that for as long as we continue to vote for the ANC government, this is what we are going to experience, because they don't really care. And even in townships, they don't develop nothing. There's no new police stations. There are no more recruitment of police officers. There's no visibility. You go to places like Diepsloot, for instance, it is very difficult. There's a squatter camp there in Diepsloot called Mashamplan, where it's even difficult for a police vehicle to drive into the squatter. By the way, the roads are very small, narrow, that even a vehicle cannot drive in there. People are parking their cars on the field where they play soccer during the day, and at night they park their cars there and walk towards the squatter camp. So crime is just out of control because the ANC has allowed that. Let me come to the Julius Malema issue. Kill the Boer, kill the farmer. That is not acceptable, and it has to be stopped. By the way, if I was Cyril Ramaphosa, I was going to come and call Julius Malema for a meeting, then address him one-on-one, personally, so that, listen, you are causing chaos, and before you know that, we are going to disown you, because Donald Trump wants to declare Julius Malema as an international criminal based on the specific fact of the chanting of kill the Boer, kill the farmer. It will get him in trouble. Just one day, it will get him in trouble. Another issue is that the ANC now has overused the triple BEE policy. They've exhausted it. They've enriched themselves. And then now, the Elon Musk and Starlink, that's the bone of contention, that they have to change the policies, because those policies are not benefiting even us. Some of us, we are stagnant here, and we don't benefit nothing. So if they ask me that, should we scrap the triple BEE, I will say yes, because here I am, continue to be marginalized, and they say they are empowering black people, so there's no such. If you want to talk about transformation, there's no transformation at all. It's only the black elites who are continuing to enrich themselves. And people are saying Johan Rupert is a racist and he should not have been there and all of that. Johan Rupert is actually holding South Africa on his shoulders. You can ask yourself how many people he has employed versus Julius Malema. How many people has Julius Malema employed? And is it a proper employment, or is some kind of, no, follow me, I'm going to take you to parliament so you can talk a lot of crap and I'm going to pay you for that? Then you create enemies, and when you leave parliament, you've got nowhere to work. Look at Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi has been a staunch supporter of Julius Malema. Look at what he did. He actually assassinated his political career. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi will never be hired. And even when he speaks, you can see that he is actually heavily indoctrinated with Julius Malema's ideology, political ideology. In politics, you need to actually engage in a matured political position where you can resolve issues amicably, so without actually violating other people's rights. Coming to occupy the land issue, let me tell you about the EFF. The EFF, that is why I'm saying, is mostly dominated by some kind of antagonist people who just want chaos. You occupy the land, right? Whose land is that? And all of that. Oh, okay. So you occupy the land. Whose land is that? So those are the issues that I keep asking myself. Whose land are you actually occupying? Secondly, it is becoming a concern to me to these hijacked buildings and everything that it's happening. And I feel more like politicians are actually responsible for that, because they perpetuate the occupation of land and all of that, and they are actually the perpetrators of this whole thing. So either way, however we look at this issue, we are going to experience so many problems. Let's just watch this short clip where Donald Trump was actually grinding the president, and I'll comment fairly on this, and then you're going to put your opinions first.
At some point, there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill, Yamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer, pa, 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 to kill, Yamaza.
The mayor of D-Day in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Sodi will not be touched. They will be touched, no one. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill, Yamaza, kill the brewer, the farmer, kill the brewer, the farmer, pa, pa, pa.
So as a president of the country, how do you feel when such videos are known by the international community that kill the Boer, kill the farmer, Nyamazan, and all of those things? So chanting killing the Boer technically promotes the assassination, the genocide, or the attack on the Afrikaners. So whether we like it or not, South Africa, the fact of the matter is that there's a problem in our country, and we need to address this problem. And I think as black people, we need to regain our conscience and try to do self-introspection. What exactly do we want? That's why all the time I raise this statement that, are we building or are we destroying? If we are destroying, then let it be that no, the purpose here is just to cause chaos, to destroy. What more do we want as black people in South Africa? Because the Afrikaners are having, their own farms there. There's Kleinfontein, there's Orania, and they are just living their peaceful life. Honestly, Afrikaners are no longer bothering us. And the crime that is happening, they are also constitutionally having a right to be protected. And if they feel that the government of the day is not protecting them, they are going to raise the alarm to the international community. And the land grabs issue that occupy the land is the same thing as they hijack buildings. The EFF and ANC and other gangsterism kind of organizations which are claiming to be politicians are the ones who are perpetuating the occupation of buildings, hijacking of buildings by Nigerians and other people from other African countries. And yet, us as citizens, we remain, speechless. We watch and we remain defenseless. What do we do as average citizens? when we see that our country now is getting messed up, and it's getting messed up by the people who are just arriving here without any form of identity, sneaking into our country and committing crimes. By the way, if you talk about Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, and all of those people who sneak in our country illegally, so, and Nigerians, and come to our country to live in our country, they find their survival means through crime. And some of these people, they know that when they commit crime, the police cannot trace their fingerprints because they are not on the database. So how do you feel as a president when you are confronted by another president about your issues that you constantly fail to address? Simple issues. Crime is a very simple issue. You just capacitate the police, you give them equipment, you build more police stations, satellite police stations, and everything, and then you train them correctly, so how they should be able to combat this crime. And you do away with squatter camps, hostels. Those are the areas which are harboring these criminals. And then if you want to, if you are looking for AK-47, you are looking for a shotgun or any kind of a rifle, you will actually find it in the hostels. And the ANC government knows about it, and they've done absolutely nothing. Crash these hostels, destroy them, crash these squatter camps, stop putting toilets. The other day I did an episode here of the ANC spending 300 million on toilets in Germiston. So I've lost so much hope for the ANC, and the bitter medicine that they are tasting now, they deserve it. I don't feel sorry for them. I wish for the ANC to just collapse, to just lose votes, because it has become a pain on our nerve. So they continue to disappoint us. It's so sad that we keep hoping for nothing. So as a citizen of this country, I've lost hope in the ANC, even to Ramaphosa. Respectfully so, I've lost hope on that man, because I've seen that he's just the same cook from the same pot. So he will never change nothing. He doesn't bother. He doesn't care, because his family is protected. What about us as citizens of this country? We stay in squatter camps. We stay in townships. The bone of contention there was crime. And the Starlink also. You cannot say, if I want to invest in your country, I should hire this politician, I should hire this politician, Guatemalte's son, and whoever. That's what Elon Musk doesn't want. He wants to hire his own people that he believes are competent and they're going to get the job done. You know what politicians do, especially the ANC cadre kind of arrangement? They actually want to force you to hire a certain politician in your company to be a director, and they underperform. These people, they know absolutely nothing about production. They underperform, they enjoy salary, they sleep, they spend 100K per night in clubs, they sleep with prostitutes. That's the life they live. So if the ANC was a company, it could have collapsed. I don't care if it was Amazon or it was Tesla or it was SpaceX or what, the multi-billion or trillion company. It could have long collapsed, because that they are very good with poor leadership. You know, they are so incompetent to an extent that you don't understand whether these people have lost their minds or what is happening. It is so sad, South Africa. You know, I watched this engagement many times, and I had mixed feelings how to feel about this. And I can understand black people are frustrated and saying Cyril Ramaphosa is a puppet. No, it's not a puppet. There, you account there. It's not like going to parliament and talking a lot of crap, just like Jacob Zuma, what he used to do. He spent 250 million building his homestead in Nkandla, and when he has to account to parliament, he comes and laughs. Hey, Nkandla, there you account there. You account, you're talking to the superpower, and you don't do that to Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, America is a superpower compared to South Africa. So America, China, Russia, those are superpower countries. And there's nothing we can do about it. All that we have to do is to capacitate ourselves. We need to build our country. We need to do away with racist laws, racist policies, and we need to take care of each other. irrespective of the color. So our black leaders are constantly failing in uniting this country. In fact, they are the perpetuators of this division, because the same Cyril Ramaphosa laughed and made some mockery and said Afrikaners are cowards and all of that. So that's what I didn't actually expect from a president. When you are a president, you need to be diplomatic, and you need to be all about action more than talking. You can't talk a lot of nonsense and you do absolutely nothing. And we have seen that crime in South Africa is just out of control. Like I say all the time, that I can shoot this episode today. Tomorrow someone comes to my shack and shoots me, because that's the life we're living as South Africans. We are always scared. We don't know what's going to happen and when. So politicians don't care, because they are protected. They've got gas, they've got electric fences, they live in high walls and all of that, well-secured areas. And what about us who are staying in townships, who are staying in squatter camps? Then we have to be subjected to them. What about the farmers who are staying alone there, and the next neighbor is almost 100 meters away, or even way more, 500 meters away? So if there's people who are actually committing house robbery in your house, it becomes very difficult to call for a backup. And if you can't afford security, then it's a problem. It's tough luck. That's all the Afrikaners are fighting for. And another thing is that the police should always do frequent patrols in these farms. And I believe the police knows these criminals, but it's a well-organized crime which is difficult for them to break through. Just like what they do in townships and squatter camps and hostels. They know who are the criminals, but they can't arrest them because they are outnumbered, they are incapacitated, and there's a lot of crime. And the rot starts from the head. If your president is corrupt, if your president was found with dollars and pounds at his farm that he can't even account for, then the people will be corrupt. If the president is concealing the CR17 bank statements, then everybody will be corrupt. And I respect Johan Rupert more than Cyril Ramaphosa. If tomorrow they say Johan Rupert will be a president, I won't have a problem, because this is the man who has employed a lot of people in our country. This is the man who's carrying our economy here on his shoulders. So I'm looking at the positive side rather than joining the chorus of saying Johan Rupert is a capitalist, is a racist, they call him all those names. But when you ask them how many people have they employed themselves, politicians, versus how many people Johan Rupert has employed, then it's a different story. So it's not going to help us to continue to think the reason why we are poor is because of white people. White people have worked hard. I know white people who are running their own private businesses. They wake up every morning and they go home late in the evening, running their own businesses, making sure that everything runs smooth. And when I'm sitting, I'm like, can black people do this really? And I don't understand when they say white privilege 30 years after democracy, because there's no white person who's having a privilege. All that they have, they've worked for it, and they still continue to work for it. So where do we fail as black people? We need to do self-introspection. We need to start looking at how they do things versus how we do things. I personally started to change there and there some of my habits, realizing that, oh, this is how things are done, but I didn't know. And I've been doing this, and now I have to switch to do it. And it's very difficult to monitor every cent that you spend and all of this. It's not about how much you have, because there's black people who got rough money, 2 million, and they blew it because they know nothing about financial literacy. So as black people, there's something that we're not doing right that we need to fix. And for as long as we still continue to sing and chant with Julius Malema, kill the Boer, kill the farm, we will never learn a thing. I don't know. I'm going to end here, squatters. Thank you very much. I don't know how to feel, honestly, about this whole issue, because it's a very complex issue that you should not just jump into it without properly thinking and watching and assessing. Actually, you check the mood also, that what do we want as South Africans? Thank you very much, squatters, for watching my content. We'll see you next time. Shalom.